Hello class, today we're going to be looking at 7.6 perimeter of composite figures. Basically that just means that we're going to have figures that have multiple sections to them. So perimeter means the distance around the outside of any object. When we calculate the perimeter, we always add all the sides. Okay, so we need to add up all the outsides of them. To find the missing sides, you might need to do one or more of the following. First, we need to pay attention to dashes or double dashes. That's on here. So we have a dash above the 12. Then we have a dash here, and then we have a handwritten 12, just to show that those are both 12. And same with this double line here, double dash there. That means that those lengths are going to be the exact same. So once we find one, we know what the other one is. So in this situation here, we have a rectangle on the bottom, and we have these lines here. These show that these are on the inside, and they give us some information that we need. So I've gone ahead and written in some of that information as we will need those things. So there's 24 centimeters. I've also shown that it is 24 centimeters along this base, which we are going to need to find our hypotenuse of our two triangles here. So we see that we have a base that goes 24 along the whole side. We see that this line is going to go halfway through. So that means that this base here, this line here is going to be 12 centimeters. And we see it's a little fuzzy to read, but it is 15 centimeters on here. So having our two sides and seeing that it's a right angle triangle, we can find our hypotenuse, which is along there. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So we have 15 centimeters squared plus 12 centimeters squared will equal our c squared, which is our longest line there. So 15 squared is 225 plus 144, which is 12 squared. And that gives us 369. So we see that we have c squared, so we need to square root that. So we're going to square root 369, which gives us roughly 19.2 centimeters. So that tells us our side here. So now when we're finding our perimeter, we are going to add up all of our sides. So we're going to have our 19 plus 12 plus 24 plus 12 plus our 19. Notice that I didn't put in the 0.2. When it's that low, don't even worry about it. Don't worry about the decimals, just round up or down. And this gives us a perimeter of 86 centimeters. Next one, we are going to find the length by adding or subtracting sides. So if we see on our diagram here, we have an X and we have a Y, and those are unknowns at the moment. So we need to figure out what they are. So to find X, we see that it runs all the way along here, but we have enough information because we see that if we notice this line here, and then if we were to add that line, that's going to be our total length up and down. So we have 7 plus 6, which is going to give us 13 meters. So X is going to equal 13. Now our next one, we need to subtract. So we see that we have a total length of 13. We don't know what y is, but we see that we had 8 here. So we can do 13. We can subtract that 8. So we're going to be subtracting to there, which is going to leave us the rest of this line here, or the same length down there. So 13 minus 8 gives us 5 meters. So now when we are finding our perimeter, we would go our 13 plus 6 plus 8 plus 7 plus 5 plus another 13, which is going to give us 52 meters. Now, if a side is curved, it is likely part of a circle. So we can use the formula C equals pi times the diameter, or we can use 2 times pi times r. Remember to divide if it is only part of the circle. So if we see here we have a semicircle, we're going to need to divide it by 2. So we'll take a look at that in a little bit. So again, we see our dashes 11 and 11. So we want to find out what our thing is there. We see we have a base, or our diameter equals 28. So remember, diameter reaches all the way across from one side to the other, and our radius goes halfway. So diameter runs all the way across. So 28 there. So we do pi, which is a nice fancy button on your calculator. Pi times 28. We could also use 3.14. This will give us a little bit nicer number, so we're not dealing with all the decimal numbers. So I would advise you guys to go with the 3.14 method, and that'll give us a close enough number to what we need. So we have 28 times 3.14 gives us 87.92. So now that's the whole outside of the circle. So we need to do half of it. So we take our 87.92, we divide it in half, gives us 43.96 centimeters. So again, that's just for half of our outside of our circle. So now we have enough information to be able to fill it all out. We have 11 plus 28 plus another 11 plus our 43.96, and that gives us a perimeter of 93.96 centimeters. If you use the pi button, round it to 2 decimal places. So just have 2 things after the decimal. Next, if we have to find the angled side using Pythagorean theorem, it helps to draw the triangle. Your angled side should be the hypotenuse of the triangle that you draw. So we see right along here. So what we've done, the drawing part, is we take that end there and we're going to make a straight line right across, and that's going to give us our 25. And now the way we are going to figure this part out here, this 12 centimeters, is we see that we have 20 centimeters here. So that's where we're cutting it. So we're going to be cutting that 32. We're going to subtract 20, and that's going to leave us with 12 centimeters. So again, we took that whole line, we cut it from there, so we know we're subtracting 20 from this number to leave us with 12 there. Now we have enough information. We have our 25 centimeters plus our 12 centimeters. So now we can do our Pythagorean theorem, which is our a squared plus b squared will give us c squared. So 25 squared gives us 625, plus 12 squared gives us 144, which leaves us with 769. Now again, we need to square root to get rid of that squared up top there. So square root of 769 gives us 27.7 centimeters. So now we have our hypotenuse. So now we can figure out our total. So we can do 20 there, plus our 25, plus the full length of 32. There's no point in cutting that in half at all or anything like that. And then our last side there is 27.7, which when we add those all up, gives us 104.7 centimeters. Always make sure we put in our units as well, especially at the end. It's okay if you don't have them in for everything, but make sure in your final answer that you always have your units. All right, so now you're going to be going through other sheets, other questions that'll be very similar to this. So you should have enough information here to be able to piece together the perimeter, again, which is the outside of the rest of the composite shapes in your practice questions.